So before starting, I'm super happy to be in NSLondon. So thank you very much for the organizers for giving me this opportunity to speak in NSLondon, because it's a community very close to my heart. In fact, when I moved to London 12 years ago, the very first week was also the week of the first meetup of NSLondon. And of course, I ran to join to this community, and it was fantastic because I felt like be at home. I didn't have an house in London. I was just in Airbnb at the time. And I was an Objective-C developer, by the way. And in fact, this accompanied me. This community accompanied me in a lot of steps in my career. And in fact, 1 year after, there was this. I remember vividly, we were in the watch party at Yammer. I didn't remember there existed this company, organized by NSLondon. And then when Suite was announced, there was a lot of excitement, a bit of fear, but I was super excited. In fact, when I went home, I tried to download the S code, and I converted a Objective-C Flappy Bird I implemented in Swift the same night, a bit drunk, and had a lot of bad code, but of course I didn't know to do it. And then I tweeted, and then I got the opportunity to speak at an event, a new meetup called Swift Developers. That doesn't exist anymore, but well, give me a possibility or do it, or talking about how I did this. And then I shared this on SlideShare, and then, unbelievably, a publisher contacted me to write a book on Swift. Swift, 1 month older. But I said, yes, of course I'm an expert. And then, okay, well, I've always been reckless. And then it worked. So, and then it worked well because they asked me to write another one. And then another one. So I was very good at faking it. And then another one, and then even in Sweet UI. And then Sweet UI, yeah. Thank you very much. So my name is Giordano. I was just saying, nobody calls me Giordano apart from my wife when I'm in trouble. So usually it's go for Gio in the UK, or Joe is from Italian speaker. I work in New Day, which is a fantastic company. There is a lot of colleagues here, so I have to see it. It's a financial fintech company. No, jokes apart, it's very good. And we are doing credit cards, white label credit cards. So there's a few of our brand, probably famous one, John Lewis and Argos. Maybe some of you are even using the app. Please don't break it because I'm on call this week. So. But I'm not here to talk about credit or improve the credit score or having a better credit, but AI. So how we can use AI to accelerate our development. And I will start with defining the 4 modalities that usually we can use AI for coding, and also a bit of history. I will start with very beginning. So the first tool idea that was implemented to use AI was in 2019. It was Tab 9, and after a while, a couple of years ago, Copilot, so Microsoft, brought this to the mainstream. I remember that was kind of magic at the beginning, and then it was kind of meh, but whatever. But it was the first attempt, and the modality of working was auto-suggestion. I think that everyone encountered this type of working. So you started to write the text, and then magically the AI understand from the context of the function or the method of the class, and then propose a solution. It was predicting the next block of code, and the job of the developer is to understand and also suggesting to the AI what they wanted to do. After 6 months-ish, something like that, it happened 30th of November 2022, I checked the date, ChatGPT arrived. To me, it looks like ChatGPT has always been there, like decades, but just only 3 years. And this brought this into mainstream. Even my mother knows what ChatGPT is. And so we started to, this modality it was more or less chat mode, so we put our code in ChatGPT. ChatGPT did something, we copied that back to the IDE. Recently I saw Peter talk, was mentioning this as sort of a Stack Overflow on steroid, because it's the same modality of working. And then, but mid-2023, the ChatGPT 4 arrived, and now the model started to be very, very good. And so Cursor and Windsurf, to the first famous IDE, introduced the concept of chat assistant. So the chat was inside the IDE, so the IDE can more or less understand the context of the file. You can pass the file in the chat, and then asking question and suggesting solution. Afterward, mid-2024, agents. I think the first that I saw working well was Cursor with Compose, and then Windsurf added this. So here it changed a bit. So instead of chatting with your code, you are going to the agent, and the agent, you give an instruction to the agent, a goal, and the agent autonomously try to reach the goal. So the agent can have access to the entire repository with some caveats, and can implement features, bugs, and migrate API. And here, the role of developers start to move to be more like guiding, setting the goals, clarifying the context, and also the guardrails. And then we can arrive almost now, a couple of months ago, I can see that most of the IDEs converging into this role of agent orchestrator. This one is the beta version of GitHub inside the VS Code. So there is this new view where you can see all the agents that are running, and you can then orchestrate these agents. So here the developers assume a role more a tech lead role. So orchestrating, give information to the different agent, and then setting guardrails and code style. And I added this because we are in Google. Last week, Google released this new IDE called Anti-Gravity, where this is the interface. So the interface where you can orchestrate all the roles and agents for a particular workspace, which is basically a project. Cursor, not a good one, has the same interface. The code is still there, so there is a possibility clicking, I think, Command E, you see then the code that is generated. But we can already see that where the tools are going. So it's kind of hiding the code, which is interesting, kind of bit scary, but yeah, we'll see this later. So we're talking about agent. I wanted to spend a couple of minutes, maybe 5 minutes, demystifying what is this AI coding agent. This is the agent Smith from Matrix. I hope you're pronouncing. So AI coding agent is basically a model, LLM model, can be a foundation model, so Gemini, Claude, whatever it is. Then a system prompt, so meaning that the description of what the agent is, what it has to do, how it has to behave. And then a chat loop, so communication between the user, the developers, and then the model that iterate until the goal is reached. And then a set of tools that the agent can call, because remember that the model doesn't have a memory, and of course it usually lives in a cloud, cannot act in the computer of the developer. So this is the schema. So basically, the users the developers send a message, a goal, send to the model back, call some tools, for example, here, scrap or search or something similar. And then this is continuing until the goal is reached. And here I want to also to stress an important concept, which is I will give this as for granted because we always talk about this, but better to be clear, which is the Windows context. So we said that the model doesn't have memory. So every time we are talking to the model, for the model is exactly the first time. So the context is basically all the message in the conversation that every time must be sent to the model. And so here we can see when we start that there is the system prompt, so the description of what the agent is. So you are a fantastic Swift developer. You know everything, and then you don't need to do this and that. And then the user prompt, so implement this function, for example. When the model returns the response, this is then inserted inside the Windows context, and so on and so forth. It is continuing. The Windows context has a size that depends on the model. And it means that as soon as it started to be filled, the model started to forget. So it's very important that to manage the context during this session. In reality, what happens now with the agent, coding agent, is as soon the context is filled, there is a sort of callback where the agent tries to compact all the conversation, which looks a very smart idea. In reality, apparently until now, it doesn't work very well, because all the suggestions always do not fill the context section and then start a new session, a new chat, because otherwise this is a problem. And then we mentioned that the tool. So the tool is a function or a script or something like that can run in the computer of the developers. So for example, if the model wants to read a file or edit a file, all this tool, of course, must be then approved by the developers, because the model can decide that, okay, I don't like this piece of code, I can remove the whole computer. And this happened. This was 2 minutes talk about the agent. If you wanted to know more, I wrote a post a few weeks ago where I implemented prototype of AI agent using Swift. Implemented 3 tools. I think it was list a directory, read a file, and replace a string in a file. And with just these simple tools, it works. It can create a simple program, which is kind of interesting. Cool. Now I want to do a simple demo and see how. Let's put everything this in practice. So, what are my current workflow? What I do when I work with the AI agent to do some code, and we saw earlier that there's been a lot of QR code here, right? Yeah. And then I wanted to have some nicer QR code, so I went online. I searched for some online generator QR code, but most of them were either I have to pay or there was some kind of watermark. And then I said, okay, what I can do? Well, I then remember, I'm a vibe coder, or even better, I'm a QR code AI accelerated developer, so let's implement it. So for this experiment, I wanted to create a macOS app for generating QR code with a simple instruction, so a text field, a button generate and display QR code, export it, and then the history. There are multiple agents that I can use. I chose Copilot because it's the original, because it started to be good. It wasn't like that until April this year. Now it started to be good. Then is because it's the toolkit we can use in New Day. So I want also to use this as an example to bring back the learning in the company. Before starting, a few tips that I usually use. Context. We said that context is very important, and I don't use MCP server to run the build or run the test. So the agent will just use as code build. The problem with code build is that the result is very verbose, and so when the agent runs as code build, if takes the old result, it was polluting the context window. So I found this is very nice command line tool called the XC-Sift, which is basically piping the result is code build of the Swift and creates this simple JSON as a return. So in that way, the agent can have just the information, and then the context is preserved. Also the warning and the errors. Another nice tool I usually use is STgrep. I found it suggested by on Twitter. So instead of using the normal grep for searching inside the text, this tool knows the syntax, well, the abstract syntax tree of the language, so it permits to do some very powerful search inside the file. And this is the format. So STgrep, the dash language, in this case will be Swift, and then the pattern. And these are the instructions that we are putting into the customer instruction of the agent. Finally, we mentioned customer instruction. Each agent has a different way, a different name of their customer instruction. However, all of them that are converging, hopefully, to this format called agents.md. And you can see that all these agents are supporting, so Codex, Jules, Copilot, all of them. Basically, all the agents supported, but Cloud Code, but whatever, we can start somewhere. Okay, now let's do it. How we can do it? Okay, first of all, don't do the mistake I've done several times during this experiment, starting from an empty directory, because the agent will start to build your project, but it will take long, will consume your context window, and then Xcode will be do better for you. So first lesson is using some templating to create the project. The first action and task I asked the agent to do is this, to create the agent's MD. So this is the prompt, and the first instruction is to create the agent's MD, and then it's important that the agent must always use the test, so unit and UI test, and then an instruction to remember that you run the test before making any change and after making any change, and don't cheat. Then Xcode build. The instruction we said. So in this way, the agent know how to build, how to run the test, how to do everything. Structural hygiene. Okay, we need to remember to the agent, because I found it cheating a few times, that I have to fix all their error, warnings, and failed tests, even if they are not related to the current change that may be made. Several times, mostly Claude, you say, okay, I fixed it. There are some tests broken, but not related to the change that were made. Excuse me? Okay, okay, fair enough. I cannot even do a performance review to Claude. Oh, well, so I put this in the agent. And then this is an instruction for STgrep. And finally, I found this very useful. So these are the Apple tips to create efficient Swift UI code. So I put this. So what I do, we open Copilot, put this inside, and then it starts to think. First of all, it doesn't trust me, and you want to check the exists, STgrep exists, fair, and then he'll do it. And then it's done. It created. And this is what created, so a massive one. This is a starting point. It's not a final point. Now I go there. I check. I change what I have to change. Maybe the format of the directories is not what I expected, but yeah. The amazing thing is that the agent is around the 500 line of code, which is a good starting point to define the guardrails. And this is the result. So this is quite imagine writing by hand. Okay, next step of the agents. Let's make a plan. So the agents are very eager to start to develop, but we need to start and make a plan. These are the requirements. There are most of the agents now have a modality called the plan, which is a modality with a subset of the tool they can use, and then they are forced to create a plan instead of creating code. So here in Copilot, you need to select there, change it from agent to plan. I usually use a cross sonnet for the planning. I put this, and then it starts to think, start to maybe do the search. Is checking what is already in the code. And usually what I do, I also ask me clarification question. So in this case, you see if there is further considerations. It's asking me the QR code size, quality, history limit, and so on and so forth. So that there's this first step where I iterate a kind of understand what are the requirements. It's more or less like when you talk with your project manager. So understand what you have to implement. And then when it's done, boom, see, we change. In this case, I use a codex, because why not? And start an implementation. And now the agent start to implement this. Of course, I cut, because it take 10 minutes, something like that. I had some coffee. You can see also starting to do the UI test. So it's following the instruction. And then it is the list to do of the task it will do. So see add models and service, suite review, unit test. And I think that in the end is working. And it did it. Okay. Wow, one go. So I spent a bit of time during the planning and explaining very well what I want to do, like I will do for a junior developer or someone that is new in my team, explaining what we meant to do. So these are the acceptance tests, these are the requirements. And it did it. Oh, let's try it. Okay, let's try with a text. It works. Let's try with a link. Yeah. Yeah, it works. Now save it. Oops. There's something. Okay, there's a bug. Okay. Now what can I do? I can copy the stack, or even better, I can take a screenshot. Because I'm lazy, I put the screenshot here. And then I give some suggestion because I know where it was. So maybe it's related something to the sandbox. And also it says search on internet, go to Stack Overflow until it works. In fact, this was the entire time missing. And then running, so at the same time, you see that you move it to dark mode. And then it works. And yeah, and this it took, well, no time to do it. Now, if you want, this, of course, this project is on GitHub. A good extension, what to have added this, included this library, diagram, QR code, that you can do layout, and then, yeah, I see maybe you can do a better job than me. Okay, this was very simple app, but let's do something slightly more complex. So, for example, what about creating an app for helping to do split the bill after a dinner? So imagine a group of friends that go to a dinner and then want to split the bill, but not in equal space. Interesting, this is an app. It was the first app I've been paid to fix or to implement 15 years ago. And I found this in the mail. So I don't even remember that. I think it was an iPhone 4 to have this kind of ratio. But yeah, so also this is an app that I use as sort of kata to verify the possibility of a new tool or new model. In fact, I implemented this 6 months ago when I did a similar talk at Londroid. So it's Android. Yeah, I'm guilty. I'm also doing some Android as well. And then on the left, on the right, is another one I've done a few months after for some internal workshop using Xcode Copilot. But for now, why not using Google Anti-Gravity? It has been released 1 week ago, so why not using it? So I took the opportunity to spend my weekend with Anti-Gravity. So my wife was super happy. Okay, the requirements again. So I want to create a group of participants for the event. Decode a picture, because why not using some AI to decode the picture. Implement a receipt breakdown to assign items to the participants. And present a final breakdown, the cost for each participant. And then save the event locally for future reference. Okay, you can see here that now the interface is not anymore ID with the code, but is upper level. We can have this workspace, which is basically a project, and then all the agents. These are the 5 agents that I used to implement this app. Some of them were sequential, some of them were in parallel, just to give it this flexibility. So the first agent I used was, again, to create the agents MD, exactly like it was before. And when it finished, I started an agent to implement the actual app, but using the mocked OCR. So basically, it's not taking the picture and send it to, in this case, I was using OpenAI, sorry. I think that Firebase will be, Firebase AI Logic will be a better usage of this functionality, but yeah, let's put my key in the app. And then, while it was implementing this, I spun off another agent to do the icon and splash screen, because Anti-Gravity integrates with Gemini Nano Banana. Well, Gemini Imagen Generation 2, Nano Banana 2. And I asked, why not propose me 3 types of icons? And then he told a bit, okay, he created these 3 icons. And did the same agent. And then I said, okay, fair enough, I like the minimalistic one. And then, so that use this one and creating the app icon in Xcode, and also a splash screen with this, and then it did it. And then also the splash screen was super nice. And after that, okay, he finished the mock OCR. So I spun off other 2 agents, one to implement the OpenAI OCR, but also another one that, given that the mock OCR was finished, I can fix. There was some kind of minor layout tweaks I want to do, but well. And this was the result. You open it up, you can create the event, you can add a participant. It was very nice that I could add colors. You can take a screenshot of the receipt, it breaks down, and then you can start to do it. I made it super fast because it was a bit too boring. But of course, for each item can be either assigned to one participant, or split equally, or split between a subset of the participant. And it worked. I was kind of impressed because, okay, let's see, the original split bill, September 2010, handmade and crashed. So it was Objective-C before many management. So 3 weeks development, and then a lot of synchronous meetings with stakeholders that were never happy. And then Londroid split bill was May 25. I used a Firebender, which is a sort of cursor for for Android. Sonnet is, it took around 1 day for me to implement. I have some problem with the initial setup. Connection with OpenAI, you have to code manually, like, yeah. But in the end, it worked. It was probably even richer as a functionality because, well, I don't know. The model was really eager to implement it. A few months after, I implemented with Xcode, Copilot for Xcode. Again, 1 day of development. Again, probably with the connection of AI. A lot of probably navigation. Navigation in Xcode was too difficult for Sonnet 3.7. And then NSLondon split build is unbelievable. November 25, anti-gravity Gemini 3, 1 hour development. And then minor layout problems, some tweaks, and yeah, it worked. So of course, it's anecdotal. It's just for me, but it's what experiment. So let's wrap it with. I wanted to address the elephant in the room. Is maybe someone is thinking, well, there are a lot of title in the news. Will they have replaced the role of developers? I don't think that the AI will replace the developers. I think that the role will evolve to be more, in general, more towards communicating, understanding the big picture and the distributed system instead of the actual code. I can imagine this can be kind of, so some people can be concerned and afraid because maybe I've been a Swift developer for a long time. But as I already mentioned tonight, that this already happened in our community. So this is what happened in the interest of Objective-C and Swift. So it changed almost overnight, not overnight, but almost. You can see this. And then if you are thinking that you are losing control of the code generated, remember that managers are being coded forever. Yeah, as soon as you are started to grow the team, and then you are kind of losing a bit of the vision of all the code. So you need to have a very good guardrails, practice, test. Test is super important. It's more important than it was before. And then, of course, Jensen Young said, so you won't lose your job to AI. You lose your job to somebody who used AI. As Steve Jobs famously was saying, computer are like bicycle for the mind. So they are augmenting, accelerating the mind. And I would like to think that AI are sort of motorbike for the developers, and then can you make you go very, very far, but also you can have also some bad incidents. So drive carefully. Thank you very much. Some resources here.